The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and this week I'm joined by a familiar face. You know him, you love him. It's Jeff Robbins. Look at that guy right there. How you doing, sir?
Well, thank you, Jameson. I appreciate the nice words, and I even dressed up for you this time.
I like this. Very classy.
Well, you're always looking good.
Well, I'm a fashion template, yes.
I'm tired of you showing me up with your look.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already more handsome than I am. So
well,
all I can do
that's debatable.
all
But
I can do is throw on a shirt and tie and try to be in the same room with you.
This is the best looking movie review show out there.
Really?
That's what I've been told.
Wow. By
my mom. But
I think one day we should, when I'm on the show, I should put on like a nice sweater, and you should do like a, like Ebert and Siskiyou.
Should we?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm in. Next time we do
the sweater and the sport jacket.
I've got that. I can pull off the Ebert without an issue.
Sounds good.
All right, let's get into what we're really here for, and that's to talk about some movies. We got some big ones this week. One of the biggest movies of the year finally came out. Of course, we have on the marquee No Time to Die, the latest James Bond movie, a movie that has been in the making for so long. From director Cary Joji Fukunaga, this is the final chapter in the Daniel Craig iteration of the James Bond character. This is a run that really rejuvenated a franchise that was kind of sleepwalking after Pierce Brosnan's turn in the tuxedo. And this film attempts to kind of wrap up the events of Spectre and even goes back to some of the earlier Bond films, the Daniel Craig ones. But we open in this one with James Bond has retired and he's living a life of solitude with his new love, Madeline Swan, played by Lea Seydoux. But of course, James Bond can't always stay retired. And he is lured back into action, well, first by that hated Spectre. They lure him back. And a whole host of characters, including his old pal Felix Leiter, played by the great Jeffrey Wright, M and Q, and even a new character, a new 007.
What?
Nomi, played by Lashana Lynch, who has taken on the new 007 moniker. They all kind of, in one way or another, kind of convince him to come out of retirement because only he can save the day. Of course, to wrap, if you're going to wrap things up from the Spectre storyline, we have to wrap up the Blofeld storyline. So Christoph Waltz is back in this movie as Blofeld, looking a little different than we remember him. But he's not the only baddie, because really the big guy who Bond has to deal with in this film is a character, Lucifer Safin. He's a man with a history with Madeline. He is kind of out of James Bond's central casting, a villain with a thick, unplaceable accent, heavy facial scarring, who wants the world to suffer. I mean, this is central casting James Bond villains, played by, of course, Rami Malek.
Sure.
And James Bond, in 2 hours and 43 minutes, has to kind of search his heart for what's important to him and how he can save the day single-handedly eventually. And it's our way of saying goodbye to Daniel Craig in this franchise. Now, 2 hours and 43 minutes is a long movie. That's a long Bond movie.
No movie is too long if it's good.
This is true. First off, I love Daniel Craig in this role. Like, he's made the Bond movies an event again, where
Is he your favorite Bond of all time?
No, I still Connery, but remember the uproar when they cast Daniel Craig and James Bond can't be blonde. There was a big uproar, a blonde James Bond. Now I look back on that and just laugh.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. It seems so silly.
Yeah. But this film felt like it paid a lot of homage to previous Bond films, I thought, in previous Bond tropes. Mm-hmm. But they also kind of made Bond a little different. They made him a little more of a modern man. He's riding on the back of a motorcycle with a woman. He's not instantly betting the first woman he comes across. Like, he's a little more of a modern James Bond. I don't know. How did that work for you? What did you think of No Time to Die?
Well, I've got that in my notes, funnily enough.
Oh.
There's a softer side here of Mr. Bond.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time that we see a leading lady in 2 back-to-back Bond films, right?
I think you're right.
So it's not just like, hey, I loved her, I left her,
Right.
I'm on to the new one.
We're carrying on.
We're carrying on the Madeline character into this film. He obviously cares about her. We see him very upset about the character that passed away in Casino Royale,
Right.
because he visits her gravesite.
Yeah.
Very remorseful there. And of course, there's a daughter.
Yeah.
Can I give that away?
Sure.
That he obviously becomes fond of. So we do see a softer side of Mr. Bond here.
Yeah.
I found it interesting that you didn't get into the plot of this
I
film.
mean, it's a basic plot. A guy has a chemical weapon. He wants to kill a bunch of people. It's one of the more basic villain plots, I think, of Bond movies.
Well, yeah, but it was still it was relatively complicated. I mean, there was a lot of exposition involved. I felt, which added on to the run time of the film.
Yeah.
I think that with Bond films, you need to have a good villain, and I found Rami Malek totally boring. I just did not get interested in his character. As you said, it was a central casting thing, and not only that, but he was just so wooden. And I know that that's sort of, the stilted accent and the slow talking and the scars and we will destroy you, Mr. Bond.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how that works. But I was completely bored whenever he was on the screen, and we really didn't even see him until maybe halfway into the film.
Yeah. It was about then when he finally really gets his big moments.
So I need a more exciting villain in my Bond movies. But I will say that a lot of good action scenes here.
Sure.
I think Daniel Craig's fantastic. I love the scene where they're breaking up the Spectre party when he meets up with Paloma.
Ana de Armas.
Yes.
Love her in
I
this.
thought that was a fantastic scene. And, I thought the climax worked too. I thought the climax was exciting. So, some good, some bad in this Bond for me. Mostly good, though, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Christoph Waltz was kind of just there.
That was wasted.
For Blofeld. He
Yeah,
had basically
that was the
one
one
scene,
scene.
and he was just
Yeah.
kind of sleepwalking through that.
Right.
I loved Ana de Armas. I've really enjoyed this whole story arc. Like the fact that they've carried a story over across multiple Bond
me too.
films.
Me too.
I've kind of been interested in that, and it felt to me like they had so much to try and wrap up in this movie that kind of added to the bloated runtime too.
Well, was it too long for you?
No,
were
it
you
wasn't.
checking your watch?
Not at all. Not at all. I was there for it. But I will say, like, if I'm honest, I will say that I feel like in every Bond film I watch, there's a few moments where I'm just confused by what's happening.
Well, sure.
Because there's always so much
too.
exposition.
Yes, I
And I'm
was
like,
as
am I
well.
supposed to know that? Am I supposed to remember something? And so I'm fine being lost in there.
Well, there's real quickly. There's like nanobot. I mean, there's a bioweapon. It's got nanobots. It can kill. You can program it so it affects some people's DNA,
yeah.
but other people's because that Spectre party, Bond is unharmed and other people are harmed.
Did you notice a little cameo in here too? Because the big talk is who's going to be the next Bond now. Daniel Craig is out. Did you notice a little cameo in this movie for 1 second?
Was it Pat
When
Sajak?
Idris Elba is in the movie for like 4
No,
seconds.
I missed that. I missed that.
Yeah, Bond says, we all look alike. And then when he and Ana de Armas first go to a party, I believe. And,
I missed that.
And
Interesting.
you see Idris Elba turn his head. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. Because he's the odds-on favorite for the new Bond franchise.
Wow.
But,
Very observant of you, sir.
Yeah. I do what I can. I love Billie Eilish's theme. The Bond themes are always
Sure.
big things.
Yeah.
The No Time to Die theme.
Yeah,
we've heard that for a while because this movie was supposed to come out a year and a half ago.
Everything that happened pre-credits I thought was fantastic. The opening scene where the Madeline character is a child, and then we get the scene of them in, I don't know where that was. Is that Italy, where he's riding around that moped?
I believe so,
That was
yeah.
exciting. Yeah, that was all good stuff.
Good stuff. What did you end up giving No Time to Die?
I believe, if I remember correctly, I gave it 3.5 stars.
You can't see it, but we'll find out. And I gave it the same. I enjoyed it, and I think Daniel Craig has now cast a huge shadow over this Bond character, and we'll see where they go next. Like I said, there was a new 007, but we'll see if that continues.
Bring back George Lazenby.
No, he was a good one. He's good. All right, moving on to our next film that is on the marquee, sir. You have an Icelandic film for us. What do we got?
I got it somewhere here in my notes. Yes,
Okay.
the movie is called, thank you, the movie is called Lamb. And Lamb is, as you said, an Icelandic film. It's about a couple of farmers who have a remote farm out there in a beautiful, picturesque, I guess that'd be Iceland, since it's an Icelandic film.
I believe so, yeah.
There you go. They've got, a lot, as you can see right here, they've got a lot of sheep. And one day, they're very used to sheep giving birth, as sheep will do. But one day, a sheep gives birth to something they weren't expecting. And they take in this unexpected offspring, and they sort of raise this unexpected offspring on their own. They raise it as sort of a child. Yeah. And we find out later in the film that this couple, the couple played by, thank you, it's Maria and Ingvar, and Maria's played by Numi Rapace.
Numi Rapace, yeah.
Rapace, thank you. I'm playing the Mike Roth role.
Pronounce Ingvar's name.
Well, that's got to be your Hilmar saying Gunnarsson.
Nailed it.
Did I nail it? Okay. They are a husband and wife. They're running the farm, and this offspring that they name Ada brings a lot of happiness to their lives. And we also see here in the trailer that you're watching right now, we see the arrival of Pitor, who is the brother of Ingvar, and he raises. He's what I would call your relatable character who raises some questions about what exactly is going on here at this Icelandic
He's got to be the one that says, "What the
F is this?" Which is exactly what he says. So yeah, there's only so much I want to say about this film because I don't want to
you see
spoil.
You see in the trailer.
What am I seeing in the trailer?
You see in the trailer her walking around with Ada.
Ada, yeah.
I mean, in kind of what it is. I'm curious. Had you seen the trailer? Did you know anything about this going in?
All I knew about this film going in, Mr. Rabbit, was that it had been labeled as like a supernatural horror film, and I was really expecting more.
And it was not.
Correct. I was expecting more horror.
The trailer bills it as being like a horror movie. In the middle of the trailer, it even said, and then it's like, and then there's the turn.
Well, and there's spooky music throughout, and there's a kind of you're always looking for a payoff that really kind of never happens. There's a couple moments of somewhat shocking violence in the film. Maybe not shocking, but there's a couple moments of violence, but certainly nothing that is gory or anything that's.
I was expecting a little more of a horror, but it was more of a family drama.
Yeah.
This movie is very A24 in every way. You know, it's a movie about fables. We open up, they're talking about fables. And I feel like this movie, I don't know if this is an actual Icelandic fable. I did not do the research into that. But, I mean, at one point, Ingvar is reading a fable to young Ada. And I don't know. I mean, there's the reveal partway into the movie that was kind of shocking. And I think it would have been more shocking if I hadn't seen the trailer and didn't kind of know what to expect.
I hadn't seen the trailer, so to be honest, I didn't know what to expect.
Perfect. I think that would have been better. Because I kind of knew, like, okay, I know at some point we're going to get to this thing.
But you didn't know what was going to happen after that, how this was going to impact their lives and all that kind of stuff.
I like the setting, though. I like the isolation. I liked that they're in Iceland during a time where the sun doesn't really set. So they're going to bed in daylight and waking up in daylight, and it's kind of disorienting that way. Like
the brother arrives. The brother arrives in the evening when everybody's asleep, but it's perfectly light outside. Yeah, there's a couple mentions of
I kind of like that, and it's a slow story. There's a lot of threads that are left dangling in this movie, though. So many questions I had, and none of them were really answered.
Yeah, there's a storyline about the brother and the wife sort of having an affair, having a romantic entanglement that never really pays off.
Right.
There's a sort of a pseudo sex scene thrown in there between Ingvar and Maria that I think is just kind of used as padding. Really, to be honest with you, I thought this movie, you could really probably have told the story in 10 minutes. This probably could have been a very, very short movie. There's a lot of, like I told my wife when I came back from the theater, you would have hated this movie because nothing.
I told my wife the same thing, actually. This is not for you.
Really nothing happened in this movie. Very little happened. There's a lot of scenes of them feeding the sheep. There's a lot of scenes of them working the tractor, tilling the land. There's a lot of beautifully shot scenes, but not a lot really happened.
I felt like there was really Good performances. I thought there was some interesting
I
ideas
thought
in
they
here.
were pedestrian performances.
I thought that the movie felt incomplete to me. And I was wondering if maybe it was because I had high expectations because of everything going into this. I had high expectations for it. I felt like it built an atmosphere. The director built an atmosphere that was really, I liked that, but atmosphere alone is not a movie. And like building this isolation and this quiet thing where you're out in the middle of nowhere and something weird is happening, but it kind of, I don't know, it left me wanting at the end of the movie.
So you were waiting for something that some sort of payoff that never came, or were you happy with the payoff that?
I mean, I really liked the last few minutes.
Okay.
Because I did not see it coming.
Okay.
And then it made me really rethink the movie, and it became obvious once I rethought the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I don't want to get into too much, but there were ways that I thought this offspring arrived on the planet that turned out to not be true.
Right.
That I was thinking.
yeah, exactly. I was the same way.
Yeah. My
you know,
theories were proven false.
A24 is my favorite film house.
You
I
talk about
love
them all the time.
I think this is one of their more minor films, unfortunately. Like they build expectations that I felt like there was a lot that could have been put in here that would have made
And there was
it really
a whole
interesting.
like 20-minute scene of them just getting drunk and watching
watching
water
some game.
polo, whatever it was.
I don't know what that game is.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with
I was
anything.
kind of into that game. I was like, they're
You were
really
into
into it. Sure.
And the guy had a cool music video. Kind of reminded me of the guy in Breaking Bad who had a music video. I
Pretty
forget
cool.
his name. Yeah,
That's
that was
pretty
cool.
good.
I enjoyed that.
So curious then, what you ended up giving Lamb?
I believe I gave Lamb 2.5 stars.
All right.
I enjoyed parts of it, but ultimately I thought it left me wanting.
It's a weird movie. I wish it would have given me more. I still gave it 3 stars.
Oh, interesting.
It's enjoyable enough, but I was going in expecting it to blow me away, and it did not do that.
Okay,
So,
did not do that for me either.
It's fine. I think it's definitely a film that you have to be the right audience for, because like your wife and my wife, they would hate this movie
Well, I just think
because there's not a lot there.
I think more has to happen in an hour and 45 minutes.
I'm with you.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to our streaming spotlight, though. We turn to Netflix for a film called There's Someone Inside Your House. It's spooky Halloween season. This is a horror movie from director Patrick Bryce. It is a teen horror film in which a killer stalks high schoolers and uses their secrets against them. The killer somehow has access to each teenager's most embarrassing and maybe damaging secret, and our killer exposes that to embarrass them and then kills them. Stars Sydney Park as Makani Young. She is kind of the head of this group of, I guess, the misfits in the high school. Her and her boyfriend Ali, played by Theodore Pellerin, they're kind of the outsiders. They try to figure out who the killer is. The odd thing about this killer is that the killer takes time to make a mold of each person's face and like 3D prints a mask of his victim's face before he attacks them, he or she attacks them. And so there's a lot of forethought into this. Got to get your secret, got to make a mask of you. So the first kill of the film, we have this jock who's laying in bed waiting for the football game to start, and then the killer attacks, and he's like, "Who? Oh, that's my own face. What?" And that's semi-realistic looking mask. But the movie also delves into teen drug use, a wealthy corn baron who's scooping up land in this little town, and also the possible defunding of the local police. There's a lot of weird, thrown in issues. And it also introduces us to a lot of really familiar themes. If you watched any 90s teen horror movie, it felt like this was, paying homage or just borrowing the stereotypes from all those. Because you have your stereotypical student groups, and we watch as they're kind of picked off one by one, and we're trying to, given misdirections on who the killer is. I felt like the characters in this movie are mostly really poorly drawn characters.
All right.
I don't know. I wasn't really invested in any of the characters. I like the idea of the masks. I thought it was an interesting idea.
But why go through all that trouble? And
it's kind of silly.
How does the killer access the materials in order to do that, and why bother?
Well, because the killer's trying to send a message.
This
right?
is all shown in the credit sequence.
Yes, the killer's trying to send a message, about people, that everyone's wearing a mask, and you're out there, you're just wearing a mask, and so I'm going to wear a mask of you, I guess. The weird thing to me
because
was
because the person that you're portraying to society is not the real person.
Exactly.
You're hiding behind a mask. Thank you. I just repeated what you just said.
the weird thing to me though is I don't know if any of the secrets that he was exposing. I don't know that all of them were really damning secrets. There's a couple of them. Like one of them was like, "You take painkillers."
Well, I mean, there was the one female character was a white supremacist.
Sure,
That's pretty damning, I would
guess.
say.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the other guy beat up a gay quarterback. That's relatively damning.
It is. It is. I don't know.
But yeah, the painkillers one was a little less.
The thing to me was I felt like the killer was fairly obvious throughout this whole movie.
See, I didn't think that.
Really?
Yeah. But when the killer was revealed, I was kind of like, well, why him? Why is he the killer? Oh, why is he or she the killer?
Or she.
Sorry, he or she.
The final scene though takes place amid this flaming corn maze. Yeah.
So I don't remember exactly, but for some reason they know that this killer is in the maze. And they're in the car.
No, they don't know the killer's in the maze. The maze is on fire.
The maze is on fire.
So they drive the car in to clear a path for their classmates to get out.
We have to save everybody.
Everyone's
Let's
in the maze.
drive a car through the maze.
Right. And then they go to save someone, and killer shows up.
Yeah.
We stumbled upon him having his big kill.
That mask I liked. The mask at the end worked for me.
I want to know. I don't know how many more times I need to see someone killed in a confessional booth either. I feel like every time someone goes in a confessional booth, I've seen that kill.
Well, there was the closet kill, and then there was the confessional kill, booth kill, and then there was the heat. So there was like this theme of somebody in a very enclosed space getting stabbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very repetitive.
Very repetitive.
Yeah.
I don't know. This work for you? Big fan of this?
No, I didn't enjoy this movie at all. The thing that I enjoyed the most was at the beginning when the jock that you already mentioned, he's getting a little weirded out and he locks the door. Mm-hmm. And then we see the title come up. There's someone inside your house. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's kind of clever. You know, they're sort of sending a message to that character. And I thought, well, maybe we're in for kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of a Scream type thing. And we weren't. This is just a very, very standard slasher film. It wasn't gory enough, I think, to satisfy slasher freaks.
Yeah.
Also, I was not scared at all because you always saw the killer before the killer.
Right. Killer didn't just pop up on someone.
Right. It's like you see the killer. I was like, oh well, he's going to kill that person.
Right.
Because there he is.
Because he's waiting.
Yeah. So there was nothing frightening about it.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
And I didn't really find any of the. I thought the acting was fine, but I didn't really find any of the characters all that interesting. I guess a nod. This is based on a novel, oddly enough, by Stephanie Perkins. I haven't read the novel, obviously, but I guess a little credit goes out to some of the characters. I mean, they do have a couple of African Americans. They have a non-binary character, so diverse cast or a diverse cast of characters.
Just didn't do a whole lot.
No, I would agree with that.
What did you end up giving There's Someone Inside Your House?
I found this movie totally useless, and I gave it 1 star.
Ooh, killer move. I gave it 2 stars.
Oh.
Like I wasn't offended by it. I was just kind of bored by it.
Yeah, I wasn't offended by it.
No need to check it out.
But why would you? I mean, it's the kind of movie that leaves your brain like immediately after you see it.
Just go watch Scream. Our final movie that we have is a short little movie. What do we have?
Yeah, you gave me a break here this week. I only had to watch a 50-minute movie on Disney Plus. They're called Muppets Haunted Mansion. And of course, when I say Muppets, I am talking about our beloved Muppets. This movie focuses specifically on Gonzo and Pepe, the king prawn.
Yeah.
Which I found kind of odd. It's sort of like those Family Ties episodes where they give Tina Yothers the spotlight.
Well, they got rid of Ratso, so Gonzo needs a new partner.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, well, we'll get into it in a second. Let me talk about the plot here a little bit. So it's Halloween. There's a Halloween party going on with Kermit and Miss Piggy and everybody. But Gonzo and Pepe have accepted some sort of a challenge to spend the night at this haunted mansion because it's the 100th anniversary of the Great MacGuffin, who was a magician back in the day. It's the 100th anniversary of him disappearing, going into this mansion and apparently never coming out. And so when Gonzo and Pepe arrive at this mansion, haunted mansion, which obviously based on the Muppets ties to Disney now, it's basically the haunted mansion ride from Disney World and Disneyland and your other Disney parks and the Disney family of theme parks. So we see we see them entering the Haunted Mansion. We see if you've been to Disney World or Disneyland and been on the Haunted Mansion ride, you see the stretching room. There's lots of call-outs to the ride with the hitchhiking ghosts, and there's a funny little joke in there about the ride breaking down, and saying the ride will continue in a minute, because it seems like whenever you're on Haunted Mansion, for some reason, it does actually break down. So Pepe and Gonzo, they think they're there for Pepe thinks he's there for a party. He's very excited about seeing celebrities. Unfortunately, the only celebrity that he comes across is John Stamos.
Yeah.
But he works. I thought that was a fun little scene. Yeah. But Will Arnett plays the great MacGuffin, who doubles as the tour guide, the ghost guide of the evening of the challenge. Mm-hmm. And throughout the evening, certain things happen. Pepe is lured, romanced by a bride who obviously intends to do away with him.
The great Taraji P. Henson.
She was great?
I love her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Pepe escapes that. And ultimately, even though apparently nobody else has been able to come out of this mansion alive after spending a night there, as we find out from the taxi driver who drops them off, Gonzo and Pepe, Gonzo faces his fears. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything because it's a family Muppet movie, but
you're not slaughtered. They make it out.
There's very little blood and gore in this film. Yes, they do happen to make it out at the end. I found that the setup for this film was really fun. I really enjoyed the character of Pepe towards the beginning. He was very excited about seeing the Bard Pitts and all the other celebrities he thought he was going to see. And once they got into the house, and after the John Stamos scene, which I found relatively humorous, the film it's 50 minutes, whatever you want to call it. The special really, I think, just falls apart. I didn't find the wedding subplot with Pepe and the bride, whatever you want to call her, I didn't find that humorous at all. And I found that the message at the end with Gonzo, where he faces his fears, I thought that was incredibly saccharine. And sort of,
it was.
Sort of a heavy-handed...
But it's a Muppet movie.
But that's just it. The Muppets are clever, and they're irreverent, and they're funny, and they're not Dragon Tales or Barney, which is where I thought that sort of a message really kind of belonged. So ultimately, it didn't have a payoff for me.
See, I enjoyed it. I love anytime Gonzo gets the spotlight. He's in some of my favorite Muppet movies, or when
there's other characters.
Gonzo gets the spotlight. Yeah, but
there's several jokes throughout the movie about how the other characters are sort of slighted.
Well, they should have slighted Kermit more, because the new voice of Kermit the Frog is
terrible.
Atrocious.
It's awful.
Atrocious.
Yeah,
I have friends that do better
terrible.
Kermit the Frog impressions than that.
I wrote that down.
It was
put
horrible.
That yes, I completely
we need
agree.
to find a new voice, because the new one is not working. But
I was surprised to learn that he's done it since 2017. I don't know that I've ever heard it before, but it's awful.
We need to work on that.
Terrible.
But I enjoy it. I enjoy most of the Muppet.
And there's too much music.
Seasonal movies. See, I disagree. I really enjoyed.
There's like 3 full songs in this thing.
Yeah.
It takes up like a third of the time.
Yeah, so it's really only a 30-minute movie.
Ah.
Take the songs out of there. It's a 30-minute movie.
I didn't enjoy the songs.
What did you end up giving Muppet Haunted Mansion?
I think I gave it 2 stars.
I was different from you. I gave it 3.5. I enjoyed it.
Wow, you really like that.
Love me some Muppets. Better than the Eddie Murphy movie.
Well, I'm sure that goes without saying.
Just saying.
I mean, come on.
All right, let's take a quick moment to look ahead the weekend of October 22nd, the films that are coming out. It's going to be a great weekend at the movies. We have Dune, Denis Villeneuve's take on the classic book series Dune. We also have Wes Anderson's new movie, The French Dispatch. These are 2 of my most anticipated movies. And then we also have an animated film called Ron's Gone Wrong from a new animation company. Stars Zach Galifianakis as the voice of Ron, a digitally connected robot device that is supposed to be the best friend to a young boy, but I think things might go wrong. Those are all things coming out October 22nd. We want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring this program. As always, we do appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to be talking about Halloween Kills, The Last Duel, The Trip. We're going to do a throwback movie, and I'm going to have a familiar guest joining me for all that. But before that, I want to thank you, Mr. Robbins, once again, for stepping in and so ably discussing movies with me.
Always a pleasure.
Next
Anytime.
week, next
Thank
time
you,
it's
sir.
Siskel and Ebert all the way.
All right, we'll get
We'll-
those costumes
we'll
on.
Shake dice over who gets to be who, but
Beautiful.
I got some ideas. All right. Until next week, though, I'm Jameson.
Hey, I'm Jeff.
Thanks for watching.